Thank you for joining me here today, and
Thank
we are
you.
here. We are here today to speaking about your newly launched dating app. The Joystick.Dating.
Yes.
So tell us a brief overview. How did you come up with the concept and the name?
Okay, so first of all, I'm a serial dating entrepreneur. So I own lots of sites and I've been programming dating sites since about 2007. Um, and I try to make niche-based dating sites because nowadays, with Facebook dating, Tinder, Plenty of Fish for mainstream, it's impossible to compete with companies like that. So I try to focus on building a niche where people may find dating a bit more of a challenge, but bringing people with like minds together. So that was the idea, and I think gamer dating sort of fitted in very well there. And then on the brand name, I like to come up with good brand names that are kind of a little bit controversial or have a little bit of innuendo to them. So Joystick seemed perfect for there because when you've got to try to get as much media and press coverage as possible, I think the name really helps for people to go, that sounds fun. Let's write about that. So
Yeah,
that's the kind of
definitely.
intro.
Definitely, there is the magic twist,
Yes.
in the name. So, as you said, you have a really long history in the dating industry. So, tell us what makes Joystick different from other dating apps.
So the main thing really is that obviously it's focused for gamers, and then it's tailored for gamers inside. So the profiles allow you to select what hardware you use, so whether you're a console user or a PC gamer, what genre of games you enjoy playing the most. So that kind of allows people to share that initial interest in dating, and then the rest of the site has all of the things that you'd expect from general dating site, I suppose. Being able to search via distance, activity of people online, uploading pictures and things. But I think some of the other areas that I try to be unique is in terms of user privacy. So I hope I've got one of the cleanest privacy policies online in the industry. Every single piece of data that you can enter into Joystick, you can see exactly how long it's stored, when it will automatically delete. So it's a massive privacy policy, but everything's listed in there, and it doesn't take any information that isn't needed. So lots of websites and apps might ask you, all sorts of personal things about your salary and your job role and things like that. So it doesn't do anything at all like that, and even to the date of birth. So I've tried to strip everything down to the minimum. So it asks you age instead of date of birth. And I think it's better that the user just updates it once a year, rather than gives information that someone may use to try and validate bank accounts and other things later on. So I try to be very private and niche focused.
Very good. So, can you tell us what is the most exciting about the gaming and esport communities? Because you have decided to focus on these niches. So, what is like for you personally the most exciting?
Well, I've been a gamer for a long time myself, but this is going back
Okay.
before family, and so I'm 47 now. So I started with Sinclair Spectrum and Sega Master System. These are really, really old, and I've always liked it. I haven't been able to sort of do very much of it recently because of either trying to run a business, writing software, and have a young family. So, but it's a really, really big, although it's a niche market. The number of people gaming is huge. It's close to 2 billion people say that they regularly play a game. So although it's a niche market, it's also a very, very exciting market. And it seems to have taken over things like cinema as well. The budgets for games are just, and the detail that goes into games now is just phenomenal. With kind of more exciting things like augmented reality and VR, it's just a really exciting space to be in.
Yeah. And do you have any plans to actually partner with the esports organizations and the teams to promote this dating app?
It would be very nice. I think at the moment I'm very new in the area, so I need to kind of build up the user base. But yeah, working with esports, I think would be very good. It would be also quite nice to try to put some multiplayer games or something with inside the app and the
Mm-hmm.
site as well, so that users can try and play some kind of like puzzle games or something against it. It can't be sort of as big a budget as Sony or Microsoft, but some kind of gamification inside there as well.
And can you tell maybe like by your experience, what like current hot trending, the top trends in the dating?
Well, at the moment, since coronavirus lockdown, the biggest trend seems to be putting video inside dating. So that's something that I think has been very popular. I also think, as I touched on earlier, a lot of the bigger companies are starting to look at their privacy policies and trying to minimize user exposure. Lots of sites have started to be really more aware of what they're asking for people in terms of race description. All of my brands, even since 2007, have never asked anybody races. So, but I mean, those are trends. And then I think also being inclusive of all genders and sexualities, that's something that's becoming more popular. But again, since the early days, it's something that I've always done. So Joystick is already fully integrated for males, females, and transgender people, and any sexuality and any kind of combination. So you don't have to kind of fit into groups. You can define your profile as best describes you.
And because we are living this, the unprecedented crisis, and we are going through, the very, challenging times. What do you think are going to be long-term impact on the dating trends?
I think the video will be here for the long term. Maybe people might be more interested in talking online and having a little bit more of communication online. That's possible. Or after, like, hopefully, I think it's going to need a vaccine to get out of the situation. But if eventually, hopefully that happens, maybe it will go the other way and everybody will just be, well, I'm not going to be messing around chatting. It's time to just go out and meet people. So I think maybe that might happen initially. But overall, for the dating industry, since everybody's been confined to home and can't go to bars or restaurants or nightclubs, there's been a really big uptake in people using online dating, either to find like potential dates for when lockdowns are fully released, or even just passing time of being able to talk to somebody online, and for friendships and acquaintances as well. So I think those are kind of the trends I see.
I'm curious to know if, during the lockdown, during the COVID-19, did you see on your website the increase of
certainly, yes. There's a lot more, a big increase in new users, and also the amount of time that people are spending on the site. So, typically you might have a time of about, this is average time, including people who are brand new. So maybe about sort of 15 minutes average site duration, and that's sort of pushing more towards 30 minutes. So people are spending more time with inside conversations and engagement on the sites. And I think a lot of the companies have seen that. I've seen it, but the bigger companies as well have also seen the same trends.
And where do you see actually the Joystick in the future?
Well, I mean, I hopefully like to build the user base. So my initial thing is to really just try to get as much PR and press as I can, build the users, and have a site that if people are into gaming, then that's the place that they go to, rather than kind of trying to battle it out on a mainstream site. So it would be nice to have a good user base and loyal and repetitive users coming in. And then always the aim of anyone who runs a site is to hopefully get some marriages, and later on the line some children and some younger gamers. But that's the real aim, is to try and get all of that.
Exactly. I believe it will really help if some like famous esport players will got in love or through your app,
Yes,
because
yes.
what is very fascinating is that these kids or young people, the esports fans, but even esports players, they are becoming kind of like a new generation superstars.
Yes, there's a certain celebrity element to that.
Exactly.
Yes.
There's the celebrity element. So I think it could really help your dating app, because they're really turning into kind of like the 10-year-old kids, they are spending like hours on the Twitch, you know,
Mhm. Yes.
watching their favorite esports players, you know. So definitely, are you thinking about, you know, some kind of, you know, I know you're in either this stage of launching, but are you thinking about maybe get exposure through the Twitch, or get in collaboration with this kind of the platform?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's a major platform for gamers. So I mean, it's the number one spot really for people on there. You know, there's an element on YouTube, but Twitch is really there. So I think something, if possible, would make a lot of sense to try and do that. I guess the only thing when people have asked me before about Twitch is that, of course, like everybody's there, you know, whether you're single or not single. So, you know, it's still only going to be like a sub element of people, but it's certainly the right place to try and gain momentum, new users, and awareness. It seems to be the number one
Yeah,
platform.
and my very last question is like, what is exactly like the first on the personal level? What's the most exciting or fascinating about the gamers community?
I just think that just so like techno based, so they just now have a lot of information about technology. So it's quite nice. I mean, because I'm a bit of a proper nerd, I suppose. But you know, just usually when you have to kind of like write error messages or explain why this doesn't work, or you're writing something, you have to kind of, I don't know, you can't really just talk about the code or anything like that. What's really nice is that it's an area that I feel very comfortable with, and you can just sort of explain it a little bit more, like the nitty gritty and the behind the scenes of, to users, like if they've got support questions, why that worked or why that doesn't work. And they kind of got the right mindset for understanding, you know, that computer programs at the end of the day, no matter whether it's dating or anything, is just, they only know if something equals this, doesn't equal this, is bigger than this or less than this. That's all a computer can do. And so it's just quite liberating to be able to have a community that, yeah, I can still sort of speak in just pure logic. So that's my kind of nerd hat on there.
Yeah, I mean, back in the days we were talking about the weather, about on the days. Now we are talking about the favorite, you know, the game.
Yes, yes.
So that's the making. You know, David, thank you so much for the chat and for this interview. And I wish you a lot of luck with Joystick.Dating,
Thank you.
and you know, watch this space. We're gonna for sure cover you, and I'm sure you're gonna have a lot of success with this project.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Have a nice day, David.
Okay, and you. Bye-bye.